Hello, everyone. Johnny Carson spent 30 years interviewing the most beautiful women in the world. Nobody tells you this. The man judging beauty had failed at love 3 times. 3 divorces, 3 expensive disasters. That Malibu night when he named his list, the scotch was flowing, and Carson's relationship with alcohol was no secret. Here's what really happened behind America's most famous desk. A man haunted by his own failed marriages, his own vanity, his own thinning hair hidden under hairpieces, studying women he could never keep. This isn't a story about beauty, it's about obsession, power, and what we choose to remember. Carson was married 4 times. His first marriage to Jody Wolcott lasted from 1949 to 1963. Then came Joanne Copeland from 1963 to 1972, followed by Joanna Holland from 1972 to 1985, a divorce so expensive it became tabloid legend. Finally, Alexis Moss in 1987, who remained with him until his death. 3 divorces, 3 expensive lessons about the distance between appearance and compatibility. Henry Bushkin, Carson's longtime attorney and confidant, documented these relationship struggles extensively in his 2013 biography. When Carson studied beautiful women on his stage, he wasn't just a detached television host conducting interviews. He was a man who had learned painful lessons about beauty's promises and its limitations. And here's something else rarely mentioned. Carson himself battled his own appearance anxieties. He wore hairpieces in his later years, maintained obsessive standards for his on-camera presentation, and was reportedly quite self-conscious about aging. Bushkin's biography reveals Carson's vanity and appearance concerns in uncomfortable detail. Perhaps his detailed observations of others' beauty grew partly from his own hyper-awareness of how appearance, presentation, and the camera's unforgiving eye could make or break someone. He studied what worked because he knew intimately what could fail. About that Malibu confession, we need to address the elephant in the room. Carson's relationship with alcohol was no secret to those who knew him well. Bushkin documented the heavy drinking. Multiple sources describe alcohol as a fixture of Carson's private life. The story itself mentions several glasses of high-end scotch that loosened his typically guarded demeanor that night. So here's the question nobody asks. Was this really Carson's definitive list, carefully considered over 30 years of interviews? Or was it alcohol-influenced reminiscing with old friends, enhanced by nostalgia and good scotch? Perhaps the truth is that beauty, especially to someone who'd spent 30 years cataloging it professionally, couldn't really be ranked at all, only remembered in moments, filtered through time and memory. When we watch those old Tonight Show clips today, there's something uncomfortable we need to acknowledge. Carson held immense power. Appearing on his show could transform careers overnight. The Carson bump was real. A single appearance could mean millions at the box office, a television series greenlit, or a dead career resuscitated. When the most powerful man in television appreciated a woman's beauty, that appreciation existed within a professional relationship where the power balance was unmistakable. Johnny Carson could make or break careers with a single appearance. The Carson bump was legendary. A successful spot on The Tonight Show could mean a film greenlit, a series picked up, or a fading career suddenly resuscitated. Raquel Welch, Sophia Loren, Bo Derek, Elizabeth Taylor, Farrah Fawcett, Diane Parrell, Ursula Andress, these women navigated that reality with varying degrees of agency and comfort. What looked like playful flirtation on screen often carried complex professional calculations off-screen. Every laugh, every hair flip, every seemingly spontaneous moment was part of a high-stakes performance where their livelihoods hung in the balance. For these women, appearing on Carson's couch was rarely just about conversation, it was career calculation. In an era when Hollywood offered women limited shelf life and often typecasted them by appearance, leveraging beauty on the nation's biggest platform was sometimes the smartest move available. What looked like effortless charm was often the result of careful preparation, professional coaching, and acute awareness of what was at stake. These weren't passive beauties waiting to be admired. They were intelligent strategists navigating a difficult industry with the tools they had, playing a game where Carson held all the cards. Every list reveals as much by its absences as its inclusions. Grace Kelly had become Princess Grace of Monaco by Carson's tenure, beyond the reach of late-night television. Katharine Hepburn was famously reluctant to do television talk shows, considering them beneath serious actors. Brigitte Bardot, despite her international fame and status as a European sex symbol, made limited American television appearances. The women who never made Carson's list are just as revealing as those who did. Anne Margaret, Lana Turner, Ava Gardner, all contemporaneous sex symbols, and Raquel Welch's peers in the 1960s and 70s may simply not have fit Carson's particular aesthetic or personality preferences. Some were before his time, others perhaps too intimidating, too unavailable, or simply not his type. Grace Kelly had transformed into Princess Grace of Monaco, forever beyond the reach of late-night television. Katharine Hepburn, despite her legendary status and striking features, was famously reluctant to do television talk shows, considering them beneath serious actors. Brigitte Bardot, the French sex symbol who defined European sensuality in the 1960s, made limited American television appearances and may never have sat on Carson's couch at all. The list tells us not just what Carson admired, but the boundaries of his access, his era, and perhaps his taste. Marilyn Monroe never appeared because she died in August 1962, just months before Carson took over The Tonight Show permanently in October of that year. She became the beautiful ghost haunting his stage, the ultimate guest who got away, forever frozen in his imagination as the perfect interview that never happened. But here's what's impossible to ignore when you look at this list. Diane Carroll stands alone as the only woman of color among 8 names. Carson's list, reflecting both his era and perhaps his own cultural lens, largely celebrated a specific type of beauty, predominantly white, Western, conventional by 1960s through 80s standards. Carroll's inclusion was itself groundbreaking. She was the first Black woman to star in her own network television series in a non-stereotypical role, with Julia in 1968. Her presence on Carson's list represented genuine progress, but also highlighted how narrow the definition of beauty remained throughout his 3-decade run. To modernize, the absence of greater diversity, no Asian women, no Latin American women, no Middle Eastern women, reveals more about Hollywood's systemic limitations than Carson's personal taste. Beauty, we now understand, was defined too narrowly for too long. There's also a factual error worth correcting. Sophia Loren is Italian, not Latina, as some accounts suggest. Born Sofia Villani Ciccolone in Rome, Italy, she represents European cinema, not Latin American heritage. These details matter when we're discussing representation and cultural context with historical accuracy. By the 1990s, colleagues noticed something had shifted. Carson, approaching retirement, seemed less interested in beauty as spectacle and more drawn to substantive conversation. Contemporary television criticism from that era noted his evolution as an interviewer. Producers reported changing interests. Carson stated preferences for guests who brought depth rather than just star power. The Malibu reminiscence about beautiful women may have been nostalgia for an earlier era, his own as much as Hollywood's. The older Carson had spent decades watching beauty fade, careers end, and the machinery of celebrity churn on relentlessly. Perhaps he'd learned what anyone who studies beauty long enough eventually discovers. It's the least interesting thing about interesting people. So what does Johnny Carson's list of beautiful women really tell us? It reveals a complicated man with his own insecurities and failed relationships, making assessments colored by personal experience and perhaps alcohol. It shows the power dynamics of an era we're still reckoning with. It demonstrates the narrow beauty standards of mid-century America
and the women who strategically navigated those limitations. Beauty was never the real story. It was always about power, survival, and the price women paid for Carson's approval. Subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories. Thanks for watching.